Dylan Cox for secondsout.com here in the Haymaker Gym in South London, and with me I have promoter Kalle Sauerland. Kalle, not long now to the big fight. Mikkel, we saw there just going for a light routine but looked in tip-top shape. How excited are you about him getting back in the ring with Carl Froch again?
Well, I think I'm excited as a promoter to be putting the fight on, but I'm also excited as a fan to watch it. I think it's one of them fights that's going to take off where the first one sort of ended. I don't believe in this, that there'll be a couple of rounds feeding each other out. I mean, I've heard them both say that, but I think it's a case of, the first one who lands will open up the war that the first fight ended up being.
Mikkel, obviously, after the last fight, he suffered an injury. He had some time out. He's not been as active as Carl since their last fight. Do you think that plays into his favour, or do you think that maybe work against him and people are suggesting maybe he's a bit more injury prone and maybe has a bit more ring rust at the very top level?
Well, a ring rust he won't have. I mean, he just boxed Brian McGee. Okay, it was over in a couple of rounds, but generally, it could go either way. It's like the fight. I mean, we believe that Mikkel will win, but we will find out on Saturday whether these fights. I mean, eventually they're going to cost Carl somewhere in energy-wise, and and those sort of things you don't find out in training. You find out in the real thing. And Saturday night, I think that'll be a big key to see. Where Carl is as well.
You've been around a lot of fighters. Obviously, your father's been a promoter for a long time. You grew up around boxing, so you've seen a lot of top-level boxers. How does Mikkel compare to a lot of the boxers you've worked with? And in terms of his psyche going into a fight, we've heard him say he's like a very competitive person. He's a born winner. Obviously, being in boxing, you have to be. But how does he compare to some of the great boxers that you've worked with?
I think as an athlete, he's the best. He's the best athlete we've ever worked with. He's had his fair share of injuries in the last couple of years, but when he gets going, he's simply the best. And he's coming onto this in a real purple patch, and I think Saturday night we'll see a 6-time world champion.
And just quickly, we've seen boxing has changed over the years, and it's almost been a passing of the torch between your father to you and your brother. You've seen Eddie now taking over from where his father left off. There's a bit of a gap in Matchroom. Is it exciting times for boxing around the world? You do a lot, obviously, in Scandinavia, but you're working closely with Adam Booth, Haymaker. You've had George Groves out over there in Denmark. Is it quite an exciting time to be a boxing promoter?
Yeah, I think boxing is an exciting sport. All the idiots who write that the boxing's dead. I mean, what a load of crap. Yeah. We have continually 10, 12 shows a year in Germany where we have an average viewing figure of 5 million viewers. So, tell me that the sport is dead. We've got this weekend. We were sold out in under 2 hours. With neither fighter comes from London. I come from London. My brother comes from London. Eddie's from Essex, which is not really London, but that's testament to the sport. This is a great matchup. And I believe that this doesn't sell on the basis of Mikkel Kessler or the basis of Carl Froch. I believe it's boxing that sells this fight. And everyone knows it's a great fight. It's a great pairing. And that's the key. And whenever you're doing that in this sport, you've got to be looking at a little bit from a fan's perspective and trying to do that. And if you do that, you won't go wrong.
And just finally, just talk about your heavyweights, Pulev. They're talking about Pulev purse bids for a fight with Tyson Fury to get a shot at the Povetkin-Klitschko winner. How far along is that, and where are you at with that at the moment?
Well, we're in discussions with Mick Hennessy, who we've obviously worked with often before and worked very well with. It's something that's mandated. It has to be dealt with before next Tuesday. Next Tuesday there would be a purse bid. Obviously we're in negotiations. I know that there's a lot of rumours that there's other fights that they're discussing as well. But we can just concentrate on putting that fight on. And if they go another way, then Pulev is mandatory against Vladimir Klitschko. Is
Pulev a big draw in his home country, or do you think that fight would happen in England if it did happen?
Well, I think look, boxing is about economics so often, and he's a massive draw. He was the Sportsman of the Year in Bulgaria. He's obviously had a great year, 2012. And, of course he's a big draw, but there is a difference between Bulgaria and the UK.
Great. Kalle, thank you very much. Best of luck for the weekend. Cheers. Appreciate it. Cheers.